In our neck of the woods, sports is tradition. Sports is passion. Sports is family. Sports is fun. Welcome to our house. This is Southeast Sports Plus Live with Simone Eli and Gerhard Mathangani.
Welcome to Southeast Sports Plus. Missouri, the first team on the field for the SEC, and that all begins tonight, Thursday night, against Central Arkansas. And while everybody else in the league has their starting quarterback, Missouri is still looking for theirs. They'll do so in the opener. Welcome in. I'm Gerhard Mathangani. Simone Eli still out on assignment, so Patrick Walsh and I holding down the fort. Patrick, I feel like we have waited months and months and months to say this. And I know that it technically is not the right thing because there were some games on Saturday, but in my
Week
opinion,
0, yeah.
In my opinion, the college football starts when the SEC starts. So happy game day, my friend.
Yes, happy game day indeed. And it definitely starts once all the teams are in action, once everyone starts their season.
Yep.
And we are finally here. Starting today, we have games running all the way through Monday. So this is the official return of college football. We have been waiting like half a year.
Yeah.
It's been a long 6 months,
Yep.
but now we are finally back, and I am so excited for this season.
There are so many people that do a kind of like a soft countdown right after the Super Bowl ends. And it's like, okay, the Super Bowl's over. When is the next time we're getting actual, real football? Not the preseason, not week 0. The real thing, the real action, and we get it tonight. We'll start with the Missouri Tigers, who will play Central Arkansas. Really interesting situation here, Patrick, because we talked about it with most teams. Alabama found their quarterback during fall camp. Tennessee found their quarterback during fall camp. LSU, Florida, a few others, they had their quarterback going into SEC media days. A very different situation for Eli Drinkwitz and company, where both Bo Prabula and Sam Horn will both see action tonight.
Yeah, it almost feels like a preseason NFL game where, you know, two or three guys usually in the NFL really battling it out to get that starting job. You never want to look past your opponent that you have. You definitely don't want to look past Central Arkansas. But this will be a chance here for both Horn and Prabula to kind of like show, hey, I mean, there is a quarterback that can handle things in the post. I believe it was Brady Cook, right?
Brady Cook,
yeah.
He had a really good year.
Era. Now they're going to have to replace their star wide receiver that left for the draft and Luther Burden. But you know, these early games, you do kind of have some leeway,
right?
And I believe I don't remember what coach said this week, but someone was like, week 1, it's more about like you limiting your own mistakes rather than the other team.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. I think this is really interesting because if you remember last year, Sam Horn actually had a chance to win the job over Brady Cook. And there's a lot of people who thought that Brady Cook might – I mean, they were battling in the same way that Sam and Bo are right now.
Well, and I'll give this to you. When Bo was at Penn State, there were thoughts that he might win the starting job too. So both of these guys have been in this position before where it's like, oh, man, I just need to beat the other guy out, get the starting job here. But.
And to your point, I think the whole not beating yourself, it really shows up in these kind of games.
Yes.
Missouri is a 38-point favorite. Let's not act like this game will be close.
The official line is 39.5.
Right.
I mean,
exactly. So I mean, Missouri probably won't lose this game. The only thing that can be lost is if one of these guys, you know, messes up, in my opinion, because to me it's like, hey, who can protect the football, who can get the ball out quickly, and who can impress the coaches? Because both guys had an opportunity in fall camp, and it made it seem like to me that both guys, either they did not separate one from the other, or they were just both really, really strong.
Right.
And coach wants to see, okay, how do you do without playing against a defense that wears the same colors as we wear, that doesn't wear a Missouri Tiger helmet, and how can you do it against real competition?
Right, and I feel like I'm gonna pose this to you. Missouri, the team, should not lose this game.
For sure.
They cannot lose this game. That would be a really bad start to the year.
Yeah.
But certain players on Missouri can lose this game, if you understand what I'm saying.
100%.
Because, I mean, in the instance of the quarterback battle, I mean, Sam Horn or Bo Prabula, they could both lose this game because they could lose the job of quarterback 1.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I know there are other guys on the team that are battling out spots. So that's kind of what I mean by players can lose the game, but the team, they should not lose this game.
Right. They shouldn't lose it by any means. I mean, and this is no disrespect to Central Arkansas.
Not at all.
And Central Arkansas had a decent season last year. I think they won 6 games. I mean, so they were halfway decent, but they're not an SEC team, and they're not the caliber of team that Missouri is that won 10 games last season, and they're trying to once again take that next step forward with a quarterback. But I think you bring up an excellent point. That not only, I was just thinking of Sam Horn being Brady Cook's backup, but you mentioned it, Drew Aller's backup was Bo, and he had a chance to win that job as well, and I think a lot of people thought realistically he did. And then I think whoever does win this job, I think that what Coach Drinkwitz can do is almost take a page from Nick Saban's playbook whenever it was Tua and Jalen, because you had 2 guys that could start, 2 guys that you would trust your offense with, and you had to with quarterbacks, only one guy could be happy. With receivers, a lot of guys get on the field. Linebackers, a lot of guys get on the field. Linemen, of course. But with quarterbacks, there's one on the field.
Right.
And you almost have to pull a double duty with your backup quarterback to show them, to keep them engaged, because at any point, your starter could get hurt. So, for example, let's just say Bo plays better tonight, and then Sam is the guy next week, or sorry, Bo is the guy next week. You have to keep Sam's, as far as his mindset goes, you got to keep him sharp. And I think in the same way, flip the other way around. Drink's got to do some stuff with his backup quarterback there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think your quarterback battle is not a problem for any team in college football. I mean, you got to go back to Michigan,
right,
and the Tom Brady days.
Yeah.
I mean, Drew Henson,
yeah,
and Tom Brady both split time.
Yeah,
and you look to see how Drew Henson turned out, and then you look to see how Tom Brady turned out.
Right.
I mean, obviously the careers speak for themselves, but I think keeping both of them engaged is a big thing because, as you mentioned, if one does go down with an injury,
right,
all of a sudden you're thrusted into the starting spot, and I kind of relate it to coming out of the bullpen in baseball.
Yeah.
You've got to be ready at a moment's notice
because
once your number is called, I mean, you've got to be in game mode. You can be like goofing off with your teammates, but one bad hit, one bad sack, and all of a sudden you're in the game.
You're the guy, and depending on the situation, they might need you to put the ball in the air 10, 15, 20 times, so you have to prepare like you are the starter. And that's a really interesting point to watch this game, because this was a game that possibly would just be on mute on the side. And you're just watching it passively, but now you kind of have to watch it actively because there is
you got to see who's going to win.
Exactly. There's
who's going to win that quarterback battle.
Exactly. A nice little quarterback battle there between Sam and Bo tonight. We're just scratching the surface here on Southeast Sports Plus. Coming up on today's show, we are talking about that Missouri Week 1 kickoff and everything that is in tow for the Tigers as they get started tonight. Eli Stowers, one of the best tight ends not only in this conference but in the country, ready to lead Vanderbilt once again. And Chipotle announcing a partnership.
Chipotle.
We love Chipotle over here. We pay a visit to that establishment at least 2 to 3 times a week.
More into their NIL deals.
Exactly. We'll find out what they're doing with college football, and Alabama gearing up for their opener at Florida State, one of the Power Forward versus Power Forward conference games that we will keep an eye on coming up this week. Also, some really special guests on today's show to help break everything down as we go into Week 1 of the college football season. Julian Minensone out of our friends in Nashville, Tennessee at WKRG will join us, and Brian Brinkley from Oklahoma City at KFOR will join us as well. We got a great chance to talk to Holden, Cruise Mark yesterday, and broke down a lot of what's going on with the Sooners right now, and also with Oklahoma State as well as a little bit.
And I mean, with Brian today, not only will we talk Oklahoma, we'll get a little bit of his insight on Oklahoma State.
That's right.
And a specific pitcher that used to pitch for the Cowboys is now taking the major leagues by storm.
Yeah,
we'll be able to talk a little bit more about who that is later.
That's one of the sports hubs of America right now, the Oklahoma, and they hope that it can be as they move forward. Oklahoma State, I don't believe, is in the top 25, but Oklahoma is, I think, 18th. In and around between 15 and 20 in both the coaches poll and the AP poll as they head into a big weekend. As they really set up for a bigger weekend. I think they have Illinois State in the opener, but then Michigan is coming up right after that. So it's a big week, couple weeks there in Norman. Going back to Missouri and head coach Eli Drinkwitz, he's made a lot of headlines.
Yes, he has.
In the offseason, mainly because of his crazy takes on what the college football playoffs should look like, saying there should be 30 teams. And he gave some good math. I mean, he said, hey, if you look at every other sport, they take a bigger percentage of the teams that are in the sport, and those are the teams that are in the playoffs. You take in the NBA and the NFL and other sports, Major League Baseball, they take a bigger percentage of those teams, and those teams are in the postseason. He's like, hey, college football should follow the same model.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. Viewers here have listened to me say how we need to get more games on the campuses, especially in the college football playoff. Get that money up.
Yep.
Get your money up, not your funny up. I mean,
I love it. I love it. Well, Eli's also talking about this matchup coming up as they get ready to take the field tonight against Central Arkansas. Here's Drake.
Really exciting opportunity for me personally. Malachi Henry, their freshman wide receiver. I coached with his dad, Mo, at Springdale for several years from 06 to 09. Malachi would have been 4 or 5 at the time. And so awesome to see his career develop, and we'll be excited to face him and to watch him, chase his dream as a Division I football player. So pretty cool moment there. So, really important for us this week as a football team to establish and bring our identity to life. We want to be a tough football team and a team that plays well under pressure and executes in tough moments. And so that's going to be really important for us. That's our message to our team this week is make our identity come to life. You get one shot at a first impression, and what impression are we going to have as Team 136 in this brotherhood?
So Team 136 will get the season started off today. Springdale, Arkansas is kind of a weird college football coaching hub there.
It's like a
even the high school.
It's like a farm system.
Right. I mean, there's so many guys that have gone from the high school levels in that little area to the college level. Like Gus Malzahn, Coach Drinkowitz, obviously the coach on the other sideline today, and then you have Rhett Lashley was a coach there as well. I mean, in my opinion, when he made that Springdale connection, I thought, geez, like that's another guy that's from that area as well that's moved on to the college ranks and had massive success. Coming up next here on Southeast Sports Plus, we are headed to Nashville, Tennessee to check in with the Vanderbilt Commodores. Julian Minnesota joins us with more from the nation's best tight end, seen right there, Eli Stowers, and so much more coming up next. Back here on Southeast Sports Plus, the SEC teams take the field this weekend, starting with the Missouri Tigers coming up tonight, the first SEC team on the field. Auburn is tomorrow. A host of teams start play on Saturday. That includes the Vanderbilt Commodores, and we are so excited to be joined by our friend over in Nashville, Tennessee, Julian Minenson. Julian, number one, how has it been for the past couple of weeks? And something has changed in your background. It was a little last week or 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? Marcus Mariota back there?
Mariota.
Yeah.
He's back there somewhere. Yeah, we have my sports director and then the sports reporter I actually replaced. So I'm hoping to get up on the Hall of Fame there at some point by the time in Nashville is over, guys.
I love it. I love it. Let's talk just about the last couple of weeks and just how everything's been. There's been a lot of talk with Vanderbilt this year. In my opinion, it's been a lot of fun talk because before the games are played and before anybody can take any snaps, all we're doing is it's a bunch of hot air. We're all just talking anyways. And Diego Pavia, to me, he is a savant at it. He just knows exactly what to say, how to talk. Vanderbilt's made a lot of noise. What's it been like as far as just the hype going into the season, both the real talk and a lot of the fluff, cotton candy stuff, so to speak?
Well, you said it right there. Pavia is an expert at it. As you saw from that first clip in the video, he, didn't want to give up the ball to the defensive player right there and talked a little trash. And that's what you need at Vanderbilt. Clark Lee is kind of the calm in the program. He kind of brings everybody down to earth. But Pavia is the one that makes everybody believe. I mean, he thinks this team can win a national championship. Now, do I think that? And does the majority of the country think that? No. But half the battle is having your guys believe in that, and that's what Pavia is able to do really well. He's a rah-rah guy, and he also has the results on the field. He is, priority number one to keep him healthy as well as the rest of the team. But the priority for this team is to keep that guy healthy because when he goes, the rest of the team goes, and they're trying to get to a back-to-back bowl game for the first time in a decade.
Yeah, and you said the word health, and that leads me into my question. I know there's some injury concern with tight end Eli Stowers heading into this weekend. What are your takes on it? I understand that the injury is still undisclosed.
Yeah, it's still an undisclosed injury. Now, if you ask him, he'll play Saturday. He's ready to play. But if you ask Clark Lee, he's a little bit less optimistic about it, calling him questionable for Saturday's game with that undisclosed injury. Now, I understand why they don't want to push it. Look, you want Eli Stowers healthy for the bulk of the SEC schedule because he is one of the few mismatches you have against some of these teams. I mean, he's arguably the best tight end in the country. So you want him ready for October, November, and deep into what potentially they're hoping is a postseason opportunity. Right. So playing him against the Charleston Southern team, which you're favored heavily against, I understand the coaching staff wanted to be more cautious than not. Personally, if I were in Clark Lee's shoes, I wouldn't play the guy. I don't want to take any chances. Right. And you also don't want the first time that he's getting back into reacting against another defense, against another opponent. You want that in practice. So the idea was the hope is to get him ramped up this week and to see how he does. But if I'm Vanderbilt, I'm not pushing it with that guy, especially for him personally. I know he wants to play because that's the reason he's coming back for another year, but he's got a whole NFL career ahead of him as well, and you don't want to mess that up at the start of the 2025 season.
That's a good point. I think you have to kind of handle it like an NFL preseason game, and that's obviously no disrespect to Charleston Southern, but this is not the grind of the SEC that Eli will have to endure over the course of the year. Speaking of Eli, Julian got a chance to catch up with the tight end.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I've been able to be locked in all of fall camp and just trying to get mental reps as best as I can. So it's a blessing that I was able to get back this weekend and get back into practice. So honestly, just playing free. When you start playing timid and not playing like yourself is when you get hurt. So I really just got to go out there, play free, play like myself, and really all the rest of that is in God's hands. So.
Julian, to your point, I think the way that he wants to play is, very cut loose and free, which is even more reason, in my opinion, to be a little bit more, treating him like, hey, this is a thoroughbred. Let's not, get him out there and going all on, the warm-up race. Let's actually get him going for the actual races.
Right, exactly. And he was the only receiver last year for Vanderbilt who caught over 30 passes. I mean that's horrible from a receiving group perspective, but he is the top guy on the scouting report every week for every other team. I mean, 49 catches, over 600 yards last year. There's a reason why he's going to be the first tight end taken off the board in the NFL draft in that first round. And so you need to keep him as healthy as possible, as well as Diego Pavia too, because without those guys, yeah, you're looking at a losing season and potentially not getting back to a bowl game, which was the whole point of those two coming back in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at week one, we discussed this in the last segment where it's kind of like these players are fighting for their jobs, so to speak. But what are some of the under the radar pieces on this Vanderbilt team as we head into 2025?
Well, there's two things I'm looking at. The first one is the offensive line. They brought in pretty much a revamped new O-line to protect Diego Pavia, which leads into the health factor for Diego Pavia. The hope is that you're going to create some more explosive plays. You know, too many times last year, Vanderbilt was put in 3rd and 5 or 4th and 3, 4th and 2 situations, and then you're relying on Diego Pavia to be that wild card that he is and making a play. And while that is what he does best, you want to keep that down so he is healthier by the end of the season in the bulk of the SEC schedule. The other part of this team that I don't think gets talked about enough is the special teams. Guys, you know, the saying is never trust your college kicker, but I think you can trust Brock Taylor, the Vanderbilt kicker. He's one of the best in the country. He was 18 of 21 last year, but the big one is 5 of 6 from 50-plus yards. And they feel that when they cross midfield, that they have a chance to put points on the board, which is what you can't say for a lot of the teams across the country. So Brock Taylor is a big part of what this team likes to do. They just brought in a new punter, Nick Haberer from Washington State. He's played some big-time football, and he's going to be a big portion of this team if they have to flip the field. And then one guy who maybe is under the radar, who is I think could be a star in the making, at least in the SEC, is Martell Height. The guy is kind of like their Swiss Army knife. He is their Travis Hunter in a way. He plays DB, but he also plays wide receiver. But he was also leading the SEC in punt return yards last year, 14 yards on average per return. So he is a guy that can impact the game in 3 different facets, and not many teams have that. So that is a huge part of Vanderbilt's game. The field position thing is huge, especially if your offense can't score quickly enough like it didn't do last season for Vanderbilt.
Right. Let's flip to the other side of the ball on the defensive side, and just the talent this team brings back, some of the guys that they will have to replace, and just some of the holes overall that they have and the strengths overall coming into this year.
Yeah, well, Height is certainly one of them in the secondary. You're looking for him to make an impact right away. They lost guys like Ricky Wright and C.J. Taylor, who were trying to play at the next level. So replacing those guys can't be easy. Now, the big thing with this team is, Clark Lee is a defensive guy. He was the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame before he came over to Vanderbilt, where he played before. But they elevated Steve Gregory, who was a defensive assistant, to become their defensive coordinator and call the play calls full time. So it's not like it's a huge transition, because he was kind of doing that at the end of last season to kind of get his feet wet before the ultimate promotion this season. But Clark Lee's still going to have a hand in a lot of things. I mean, you can't just be the defensive coordinator, a defensive guy all your life, and then just hand off responsibilities. I mean, that's his baby. So it's going to be kind of a collaborative effort to kind of make up for the fact that they lost 2 of their better defensive players from last year. But you're looking at guys like Martell Height, Randon Fontenette, guys like that to really lead this defense, especially replacing some of the better guys that had some turnover from last year. Because last year, I mean, Clark Lee will tell you the defense at times was still not good enough, being a guy who takes pride in that side of the ball.
No question. Speaking of Clark Lee, obviously he spent all this week game planning for Charleston Southern. Let's hear a little bit about how they are getting ready for this week's game.
Yeah, you do the best you can to have awareness of personnel, and also to kind of understand the offensive coordinator's background, and to as much of the messaging, the same stuff you're looking at, I'm looking at. Just hey, what are we hearing? What are we seeing? I think anytime you're opening with a team that doesn't have it on film, you're going to need to be ready to adjust and adapt. And so much of early in this game is going to be keeping the ball inside and in front of us, capping our mistakes, forcing them to go the long, hard way, and then finding those opportunities for us to be aggressive as we kind of figure out what their offensive personality is. And I think, too, just to kind of go back to what I said in the opening statement, I mean, the first game is always going to be about it's going to be more about you than the opponent. Meaning, the game comes down to your mistakes, your understanding, your execution, and how you play. And we talk defensively. Elite defense is 50% what you play, 50% how you play, and we need to make sure both those things are on display on Saturday as we get a feel for how they're going to attack and what are the elements of that offense that are new, what are the elements that they're carrying over, what are the elements that we've seen on film from the coordinators past, and put all that together on Saturday to do the best we can to position our players for success.
So those are the wise words that Patrick heard earlier. He was talking about.
That's who it was.
Yeah,
that's who it was that said that.
It was Clark Lee, and I think that it's a crossover. It's carryover. Vanderbilt has it, but then also Missouri has it as well. Can those quarterbacks play well today in order to get ready for that big one against Kansas in week 2? Moving back to Vanderbilt, Julian, the last time we talked about the stadium there, it was an interesting storyline because it's different from everybody else, where even from covering games, because of the construction there, it's a little bit different. What can fans expect as they head up to Nashville for those games?
Well, yeah, now the south end zone is expected to make its debut, at least the remodeled, revamped version of that, and that's going to add to the game experience. There's kind of a new concourse area and kind of a fan area for them to hang out, and it's just not going to look as, I guess, for lack of a better term, as ugly as it did last season. And that does add, when you're in the SEC and you have to compete with all these state-of-the-art facilities, having something like that certainly does help for, the potential 3-star kid who wants to develop and maybe go to a Vanderbilt, and that's where he's deciding to be home. So that is going to be a huge portion of, for us selfishly in the media. I hope it's easier to cover games because the sidelines are so enclosed to the actual where the players are standing and stuff, where the bleachers are, and so you can't necessarily get that cardio in running from one sideline to another. You got to go underneath the tunnel and all the way around. So hopefully they've kind of figured that out this season for us, because that was a little tough last year covering Vanderbilt for the first time, and having to run even harder with that 50-pound camera. You guys know how that is.
Oh yeah.
Julian, you do great work covering Vanderbilt. I want to flip over to the professional side. I know you just came from covering the Titans. How are the Titans looking ahead of this year?
Oh, well, similar to Vanderbilt, actually, there is a lot of hope for the Titans when there wasn't so much going into the year last year. So, with Cam Ward, he's going to be the talk of the town in the news cycle. He was just named a team captain, which is the first time a rookie has been named a team captain here in Nashville for the Titans since Marcus Mariota 10 years ago. So that lets you know what they think of Cam Ward. He has really taken control of this team from day one. It's been his team, and the Titans are in desperate need of somebody to change the culture here. And it seems like right now Cam Ward is that guy. I actually covered Cam for 2 seasons while I was at Washington State, and I was covering for our ABC affiliate in Spokane. And the same guy you got back then is just better, more polished version of the guy you're getting now. So it's given Vanderbilt and the Titans are giving fans here in Nashville a lot to be excited about when it comes to this football season, guys. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Absolutely. Let's stick with Cam Ward for a second, because I'm going to spit out you some names from last year's draft class. Caleb Williams, Jane Daniels, Drake May, Michael Penix Jr., J.J. McCarthy, and Bo Nix. Now, if you keep up with the NFL, that is a wide variety of results from last year. You had some struggles with Caleb Williams early on. They fired their head coach, and then they get a new guy this year. They have Ben Johnson. Drake May, up and down. They fire their coach as well. He gets Mike Vrabel in-house. Bo Nix, he has a little bit more of a stable situation going on there. He looks solid. J.J. McCarthy got hurt. Jaden Daniels makes it all the way to the NFC Championship game with the Washington Commanders. What's a reasonable expectation, in your opinion, for Cam Ward in this season, knowing all that he has to go through and that division, which has been kind of up and down over the last few years?
Yeah, this is where Jaden Daniels kind of ruins things for a lot of these rookies coming in, right? I mean, like they see him get to the NFC title game and be like, hey, we need one of those. But right. I think if you're talking about Cam Ward, I think just some positive steps in the right direction. Does he get in command of the offense? Is he finding his way through Brian Callahan's offensive system? Last year they were 3-14, and a lot of fans have asked me, hey, well, if the Titans have a losing season, is Coach Callahan fired? Well, 6 wins is double your win total last year. It's still a losing season, but you'll take the double a win total if you're the Titans, because that means Cam Ward has taken a step in the right direction. If you're looking at 3 wins, or even just one more win, 4 wins, then you're probably thinking, well, what do we really have in our head coach here? And maybe we need to make a change. And that's tough with a rookie quarterback, because then he'll have to learn a whole new system. So, I think, Cam, you're realistically thinking maybe 3,200 yards, maybe 20, 21 touchdowns, 10, 11 interceptions. I think that is realistic numbers. I wouldn't put it quite at the Jane Daniels numbers, but I do think there is a potential here for him to have a good season with some of the weapons around him, like Calvin Ridley, an SEC alum.
Yeah, Julian, when I think of rookie or young quarterbacks, inexperienced quarterbacks in the NFL, and I think about recipes for disaster, number one, it's learning a new system every year.
Yeah.
And number two, no offensive line to protect them. How are the Titans' offensive line looking this year?
ESPN ranked them as one of the top 5 offensive lines in the league going into their position group rankings. And, that's a welcome sign from last year, where they basically had rotating guys at offensive line, and Will Levis was kind of running for his life out there. So they really prioritized that. They paid Dan Moore, left tackle, over $80 million. And so that's a lot of money invested in that position to protect your quarterback, which is priceless. They brought in Kevin Zeitler, who's a 14-year vet from the Detroit Lions. He's seen the good and bad of that franchise, and so he's somebody that could certainly help. And then they've used 2 of their top draft picks over the last few years, in Peter Skoronski and J.C. Latham, who's an Alabama guy.
Yep.
They've really prioritized that, the front position there in front of Cam Ward to protect him over these last few years. So the hope is that there's some cohesion and building there. We've seen flashes of it. We haven't seen the group together yet through the preseason, but the signs are good that it could be a quality O-line, that it could at least give Cam Ward some protection to see what you have in your rookie quarterback.
Julian, amazing stuff, both on the NFL side with the Tennessee Titans and, of course, with the Vanderbilt Commodores as they get ready for their season opener. Every day this week, just about every guest, I've asked this question. If you want to make a prediction, or if you do have a prediction about what it will look like on Saturday, if you don't do predictions, if you're just I'm a no predictions guy, you just say that, all well and good. If you do have one, I'd like to know it. I'll write it down.
Yes, I actually do have a prediction. I do a newsletter every week for our station, and I wrote some game day predictions for Vanderbilt. Here, let me pull it up. I have it right here for you guys.
Nice.
I think Vanderbilt blows them out early and then gets Pavia, and if Stowers plays some much needed rest, I think that's the best case scenario if you're Vanderbilt. I got it 48-10 over Charleston.
48-10.
48-10.
Write it down.
48-10. It's already on there.
Perfect.
It is already on there. We'll see if we can get that one extra point to cover the spread, depending on where you shop. Julian, I really appreciate it. Great stuff. We will catch up with you again down the road.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Hey, and tell Simone that hopefully she's cleaning her black shoes that she's probably wearing out and about running around on assignment. She didn't want to give me smoke today for calling Vanderbilt the
Hunters versus hunted.
The hunters and the hunted, yeah.
We will let her know. No, she's on assignment right now. She's up in New York City. She's actually coming back today or tomorrow or something like that. So, but no, we will let her know. Black shoes, black socks. We'll make sure that she gets it all on wrap. Julie, you're the best, man. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Julian Minnesota over in Nashville, Tennessee, giving unbelievably great analysis, not only on Vanderbilt, but on the Tennessee Titans. I think 2 teams that are really interesting going into their respective seasons because, like he said, Vanderbilt's got a lot to be excited about, but so does Tennessee coming in with a new quarterback as well. And so it should be really fun there in Nashville. Nashville's already a fun town, but it should be even more fun this year.
I got to visit sometime. I said I was going to visit this summer, and then I never did. I said I was going to visit 2 summers ago, and I never did.
Yeah.
So, third time's a charm. Maybe next summer.
This is the one. This is the one because it is a phenomenal place, not only for the fun and the country music and the Coyote Ugly, but also for little football, both college and pro. Coming up next here on Southeast Sports Plus, we are talking the Auburn Tigers, a huge matchup tomorrow to start their season out in Waco, Texas. We have a preview and some best bets next. Welcome back to Southeast Sports Plus. We are over the hump from yesterday and now into Thursday and officially the start of the college football season. The college football weekend to me. The Labor Day college football weekend is the weekend that starts it all. And Thursday is the day that starts it. It goes all the way till next Monday. Outside of today and tomorrow, we unfortunately have to work a little bit. Yeah. But outside of that, we're going to be in front of the TV the entire time.
Glued to it, might I add.
Glued. I shouldn't say unfortunately because what we're doing is covering sports.
Yeah,
covering football.
We're covering football.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful
the only
thing.
unfortunate thing is we won't be able to watch the Baylor-Auburn game, which we'll get to here in a minute.
I know, because we'll be watching.
We're still involved in football.
No question. We'll keep a close eye on that on our phones as we're covering some high school football. I'm sure our friends in Texas will be doing the exact same thing as they kick off coming up tomorrow. Before we get into the Auburn Tigers and their matchup against Baylor, we have another top 5 cookie for you. I thought yesterday's topic was awesome. Patrick, you put these together. Yesterday's topic was top 5 tailgate foods. I think we both had a really good list.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And,
made me hungry.
Yeah,
I'm still hungry just thinking about it.
Me too. Honestly, me too. I started thinking about baby back ribs, and I'm like, yeah, I'm back all over it again. And we have another great topic here today. Tee it off.
Yeah, here we go. Top 5 college towns. Do you want to go first or you want me to?
I'll have you go first this time.
Okay, yeah, I'll go first here. So, top 5 SEC college towns. We want to limit it to the Southeastern Conference.
All right.
First, Athens, Georgia.
I like it. I like it.
Them dogs up there. They get pretty feisty, let me tell you.
I hear you.
And then I know someone that goes to Ole Miss, so that might be a reason why I put Oxford at number 2.
Yeah.
Listening to his experiences, he's I believe he's a senior now there.
Okay,
so
cool.
wrapping up his collegiate.
He's had a good run. His college career with Lane. This has been a good run of and the basketball team made the Sweet 16 this past year.
I think looking at Ole Miss baseball, I think his freshman year was when they won. Yeah.
Wow.
So, he's had a great run.
Yeah, he went to Oxford at a perfect time.
Moving on to 3, it's hard to not put in Knoxville here. It's just Rocky Top Tennessee. You just can't with Neyland and then everything there. Now, I'll get to one town that's not on this list here in a second. Tuscaloosa at 4. That one kind of speaks for itself. And then Auburn at 5 also kind of speaks for itself. But if you might notice that there's one town not on here that some people, I was looking at other lists, not to copy anybody or anything, but kind of see all right, what did other people think about this topic and what did they put? A lot of them put Austin, Texas in there.
I wouldn't.
It's not a college town.
I wouldn't. It's actually not even because to me, when I think of Austin, I think of more convention town. It's a good convention.
Well, it's the capital too, right, of Texas?
Yes, it is.
How is the capital of a state going to be a college town?
No, it can't be.
It just can't be.
It can't be. No.
The only one I could see an exception for is Albany up in New York because I know SUNY Albany way back in the day.
Right.
I'm a legacy there. I didn't go there, but I got one of my mom went there, and she said back in the day it was crazy.
Yeah.
But Austin, Texas, it's too big to be a college town.
There's a lot going on there. I think that Texas is so well supported, and there's so many people there that it reminds me a lot of like a Chicago or a Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, when the USC Trojans are doing well, all of Hollywood is at those games. They're at the Trojan games. You see Snoop Dogg there and Will Ferrell and everybody else. Same thing with Texas to me, because when Texas is good, that's when you see Matthew McConaughey and all these other dudes. It becomes
Scotty
more of a
Scheffler comes out.
Right. It becomes more of a celebrity town and a place to be seen more so than it is a college town. To me, college town is more Starkville. The entire city surrounds that campus and puts its arms around the campus.
And all the celebrities that show out to Tuscaloosa, it's because they're not celebrities as we see them as movie stars. They're celebrities because they're pretty darn good at football and other sports. You look at Justin Thomas too, who we talked about yesterday, making his 5th Ryder Cup appearance.
Exactly.
All of these games, Morgan Wallen going to Tennessee, that's one I can see the argument against Knoxville. But, just to your point.
But I get Austin being kind of shaky. Even though I say that, one thing on my list is going to contradict that. but I have some evidence to prove the reason
All
why.
right, let's hear it.
All right,
Here we go.
My top 5 list includes the loveliest village on the plains. Auburn is number 1. I mean, everything, if you go to Auburn, everything around that campus is all about that school.
Yeah.
This whole entire city is about that school. It is the definition of a college town. And Auburn can have 4 wins, or Auburn can be on the cusp of a national championship. That place is packed. They're loud. Now, sometimes they're disappointed, especially this last 2 years they've been disappointed, but they come out and support. Now, Gainesville, Florida, I know lately it hasn't been great, but when Florida is rolling, which I think that they'll be back on that cusp again this year, the Swamp is the place, one of the places to be.
I think Walter Clayton leading them to a national championship in basketball is definitely going to turn it around.
And I think that you hit it on the head, because to me, when both sports are doing well, and you add in Florida baseball, because Florida baseball,
I mean, you look at the MLB, it's just Florida.
Exactly. And so when Florida, when they're rolling, and people will say they're fair weather fans, I don't think so. No, there's a lot of people who are true, like tried and true Gator fans. Case in point, people say the reason why the Jacksonville Jaguars really aren't supported as much, and when people are talking about teams that could go and leave the United States and go to London, one of the teams that keeps coming up is Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because they say the fan base is more of a college fan base than they are a pro fan base. So even if Jacksonville does well, I think it's case in point that there are a lot of people that live in and around Jacksonville, Florida, or in and around that Gainesville, Jacksonville area. Their heart's more with the Gators than it is with the Jaguars. And you don't see that in a lot of towns that have pro football teams.
No, you really don't. I mean, maybe it would make a little bit of a difference if the Jaguars were a little bit better.
Right, right.
I tend to think of, what was it, Saxonville?
Yeah, Saxonville, yeah. When they had,
Oh,
what was his name?
man.
Campbell. Something Campbell. I forgot his first name. But no, they were rolling defensively that year.
When I think Jacksonville, this is, I guess, how young I am. I think of Maurice Jones-Drew.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I get that. Yeah, like those were those days, and you are young, but those days are like that's kind of what I think of. But that was my reason for putting Gainesville there on that list. Up next on my top 5, I got Athens, Georgia. I'm right there with you. The Strip down there in Georgia, in Athens. Athens reminds me a lot of Auburn in the sense that it is like a college town of college towns. There's also a lot of things going on there. Number 5 looks a little weird. And I know I just made the argument why Austin, Texas should not be on there. And you made a good point about the capital of a city cannot be a college town. Well, I'm going to go in the opposite direction. And in this case, I say it can be a college town. And case in point, last year. Do you remember these fans? Do you remember these Vanderbilt fans? They carried this goalpost 3+ miles downtown, and they put this goalpost in the river. You know what? Nashville, to me, I don't think of Coyote Ugly anymore. I don't think of the start with where college or where a country rock band, country bands get started. I don't think of bachelorette parties. I think of Vanderbilt Commodore fans. I think of Vanderbilt Commodore fans, and that's the reason why they're on my list.
Hunter versus hunted.
Exactly.
Now they're the hunted.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Nashville is a college town, in my opinion.
You know, I gotta give it to you. Looking at that, and then going back, ironically against the same opponent, Tennessee, when they threw the goalpost in.
Right.
After their win against Alabama,
that's right.
The little knuckleball.
Yeah.
That will always be the weirdest looking kick to me to actually go through. I don't even think it actually was a knuckleball. It was like side spin.
It was almost side spin. Yes.
It was like, oh my goodness, what is this?
Yeah, I had never seen like you said, I'd never seen a kick. Hardly see very few kicks even do that, much less do that and go through the uprights.
Yeah.
And score, and not only score, but win the game and win a huge game for Tennessee. And then the fans over in Vandy stole that celebration. In my opinion, they made it better, going 3 miles to cover it in there. Do you want to touch on Auburn here? Or do you want to get to that in our next segment?
Let's get to break, and then we'll talk about Auburn and some of our best bets for the game.
Let's do it.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Absolutely. Several marquee games in week 1 of the college football season will feature a Power 4 team against a Power 4 team. That's exactly what's headed for the Auburn Tigers as they go on the road to face Baylor in Waco. That game is tomorrow, a Friday night kickoff for the Auburn Tigers. In this one, we have heard from Hugh Freeze in the past, Patrick, and we've heard from several other guys about just how pivotal this year is for the Auburn Tigers. What do you make of this matchup, and what are some of the things that you're looking out for as a fan of college football for both Auburn and Baylor here in this one?
You know, I think of the storyline all offseason about Hugh Freeze and him just going and playing golf all the time. This is a great opportunity.
Yeah.
A prime opportunity to put all those doubters and haters to rest with a solid win here on the road against a Baylor team that, as I've mentioned many times, I feel like these two programs are neck and neck with each other in regards to where they have been and where they are now. So, I mean, whoever wins this game, it's huge momentum-wise going into the season.
No question, absolutely. And Jackson Arnold has been all the talk in the offseason, but one of his best weapons will be Damari Alston, who plays running back, and Alston talked about what he's looking forward to going against the Bears defense.
I feel like we're going against a pretty good team, pretty good defense, pretty disciplined team overall. We just got to come out there and, I feel like we got a good scheme, for them, and we just got to come out there on Friday and execute, and, we'll get it done. We lean on the run game, at away games, you got to come in and run the ball. You feel me? Pass blocking, run blocking, I feel like we good up front. We're going to take care of business for sure. From watching last year, I just feel like they're physical, they're disciplined. They like to come down, and they like to hit a little bit. So, we just got to take it to them for sure.
So they want to take it to the Baylor Bears. Dave Aranda, we heard yesterday from Parker Ream about just how they're treating the wide receiver room, and I think that the running game for Auburn will be big, especially on the road there for the Auburn Tigers. Let's do some best bets. We did this yesterday.
Here we go.
We did this yesterday for Texas Ohio State. Let's focus now on Auburn and Baylor. I'll go first. Jackson Arnold, the quarterback for the Tigers, coming over from Oklahoma. I think Hugh Freeze wants some big plays to start this game. He's going to ease him along early on, in my opinion, but he'll find his groove. He being Jackson Arnold goes over 235.5 passing yards. Staying with the quarterbacks, Sawyer Robinson of Baylor, over a touchdown and a half, meaning I think he gets 2 touchdowns. I think they get really creative in the red zone. I think he goes over the 1.5 passing touchdowns. The new receiver for the Auburn Tigers is Eric Singleton, coming over from Georgia Tech. An anytime touchdown. I really like this number. Plus 150 here, Patrick. I think he comes along like Keandre Lambert-Smith last year, who transferred in from Penn State, and he had a really great start to the season. I think
that's on the longer side, I feel like, than what it really should be.
Yeah, me too. That's why I think that it's a good value there, a value of anything. Then the bonus bet. I think Baylor in the first quarter did just score a field goal and then maybe play just enough defense to hold Auburn. That's a bonus bet. It's one of those where I put put 1 unit on it. Very modicum.
You're starting to inspire me. Maybe I need to start making these bonus bets.
I mean,
just another one on the side, just for fun.
Just for fun, just a little throwaway, not something that you're fully expecting, but just a little cherry on top, just in case.
Let's dive in now to my best bets. Starting off with Cam Coleman, anytime touchdown.
Like it.
I'm gonna make a bold statement here. In my opinion, Auburn's offense in week 1 goes where Cam Coleman takes them.
Yeah.
That's just my personal opinion. I mean, you got Jackson Arnold trying to settle in here. You need a guy like Cam Coleman to go and get you 6 on the board. And over to Baylor, Bryson Washington, 2+ tutties. See, I like this even at 240.
Yeah.
When we talked with Parker Ream, that Baylor running back room, it's decimated with injuries.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
yeah, it is.
It's going to give Washington a great opportunity to get in the end zone twice, even though Auburn had a top 3 run defense in the SEC last year.
That's true. That's very true.
I still like this. And then finally, over 58.5. That is bold. That is very bold. I do not care. I have a strong feeling, that this is going to feel like a Big 12 game. Obviously, they're playing Baylor in the Big 12.
Right.
And what I mean by that is high-octane offense, not so good defense.
Okay, so both teams over 30 points?
Yes.
Both teams over 30, and Cam Coleman. I think if both teams do get over 30, Cam Coleman is going to have a good game. I think those two things walk hand in hand. I think you almost have like one of those married bets in that case there. And I like it too because it kind of marries with what I was thinking with Jackson Arnold and going over the passing yards and with Robinson going over 2 touchdowns. I think all our bets just kind of walk hand in hand there.
I like them.
And we'll see how it all shakes out there coming up tomorrow night. Stay with us on Southeast Sports Plus. Hour number 2 is next.
Outbound transmission?
Affirmative.
Crew ready?
Check.
Signal lock?
Check.
Downstream stations online?
Linked and locked.
Let's light this candle.
Flame on.
In 3, 2, roll show open.
In our neck of the woods, sports is tradition. Sports is passion. Sports is family. Sports is fun. Welcome to our house. This is Southeast Sports Plus live with Simone Eli and Gerhard Mathangani.
Welcome to Southeast Sports Plus. The Florida Gator student athletes are getting something a little bit special this year. By a little bit, I really mean a lot of it. Chipotle is launching once again another NIL deal, adding Florida and Georgia to the list. Already had to deal with Ohio State. Now get this, the deal is scholarship and walk-on students will be able to eat for free for just a little bit here. They have a card granting them a free meal once per week for 15 weeks. Once again, scholarship athletes as well as walk-on athletes. Okay, Patrick, you, myself, Simone, who's still out on assignment. She'll be joining us probably tomorrow or next week. We love us some Chipotle.
We do.
I mean, we absolutely love Chipotle. And to me, I think they
my
need
mouth
to,
is getting watery just thinking about it.
I know.
Oh,
me too.
We got to stop talking about food on this show.
Yesterday's top 5 with the tailgate foods, and now Chipotle. And I changed up my order the last time around. I had a burrito. I normally go bowl, but this time I went burrito. I went burrito with steak instead of a bowl with either honey chicken or regular chicken. And I'll tell you what, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. And honestly, I think this is perfect for Chipotle. Now, you might have to order double the amount of food because I don't know if they know that the linemen at Florida and Georgia and Ohio State are huge, huge guys.
Yeah, definitely double chicken, definitely double rice, double everything.
I wonder if they'll
Honestly, just double everything.
Exactly. I wonder if they'll still be, wanting to do this, week 12 of the season. Yeah, for 15 weeks. Scholarship athletes as well as the walk-on athletes will get free food there. That's everybody from Gunnar Stockton all the way to the walk-on DB, to the volleyball player, to the tennis player, to the rower. Free food for all of these athletes there at these institutions, including now Florida and Georgia, which I think is really, really interesting there. And once again, another good reason to be an athlete.
Yeah.
In 2025.
If there weren't any good reasons to begin with, even before NIL, all the merch, the treatment, use these facilities. I mean, honestly, if I were a D1 athlete, I wouldn't even get like a dorm room because nowadays they have those nap pods.
Oh,
I've seen. Yeah. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. The Clemson basketball.
Nap that's
pods.
Right. Yeah. I forgot they had those, and those are livable. Those are really, really nice. I mean,
I'm telling you.
I don't know. I think if you're making more money than some guys playing professionally at your same sport, you're just like, it's what?
Crazy.
Screw it. I'll go get a penthouse here.
Now that I think about it, nowadays I think some locker rooms have benches in your locker that turn into
beds. Yeah. Like some are like bod pods almost, like where you can like sink into it.
Oh man.
I mean, you could if you wanted to. I guess you would associate it with work so much you probably wouldn't want to, but if you wanted to, you could literally like live in the facility.
You definitely
in the
could.
field house.
And then however much you'd spend on rent, just throw that on your car that you get or something.
Exactly.
Nice car, I think who is it? Kentucky has the nice LED backpacks.
That's
I think it is. That they were walking around SEC Media Days
with them. I saw.
Just throw some more money at those. But I mean, no, Chipotle. Nap pods, I would just, pitch a tent basically inside the facility and just camp out there.
It's got to be careful with your language. All right, coming up, let's talk next to the Florida Gators here. They are taking on Long Island. And I know that I've jabbed at Long Island a couple times during the course of the show, mainly because, when DJ Lagway was hurt at the beginning of fall camp, I said they really don't need DJ to beat Long Island. And so DJ's not only getting free food from Chipotle, but he's also, I think, getting a free W in his first game of the season against Long Island. But in my honest opinion, this Florida Gator team, this is an interesting season for them. Mm-hmm. They're coming off so much positive enthusiasm from a year ago. Head coach Billy Napier and his team, in my opinion, are that if I'm going to rank teams, if there's a hierarchy of teams that I think can take that next step after a good season last year, take away your Georgias and Texas and Tennessee, the teams that made it to the College Football Playoff. I'm talking about South Carolina, Missouri, and Florida, teams that ended their season on a positive note last year. Florida, to me, has enough talent returning to make a realistic chance at the College Football Playoff.
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at Florida and you look at South Carolina, and I see two programs that are pretty much aligned with each other, and where I don't want to call it really a rebuild because I mean you can't really it's not really a rebuild in college. I mean it might be you might be able to classify it nowadays with all the NIL deals and contracts being thrown around.
Right.
But you look at Lenora Sellers up at South Carolina and you look at DJ Lagway, and I mean DJ was a true freshman last year, and I don't think they lost a game that he started.
Right.
And then you look at Lenora Sellers ended South Carolina on that hot note. I just think that these two programs are well aligned with each other, and it's a big year for Florida because Billy Napier, it feels like he's always been on the hot seat. That seat's cooled off a little bit. on the back of DJ Lagway. But I mean, we'll see what he can cook up this year.
Yeah, and we got a chance to talk to Courtney Mims, and I know she covers Arkansas, but she went to Florida. She's a Gator girl, and I talked with her at with SEC Media Days, and she gave some really heartfelt opinions about Billy Napier and about Florida, and it made me really think that this is a big season for the Gators, only because I feel like, and Florida is a place with expectations. Yes, Steve Spurrier that went there. You had Urban Meyer that was there. They both came back with national championships. Yeah. They're almost like LSU, in my opinion, where they expect to be in a national championship picture almost all the time. Oh, you don't have to recruit outside of your state. They do, they pluck some talent from Atlanta and some of the other places from the South. But for the most part, it's a lot of Florida kids on there, as it should be. And it's a team that is, as you said, taking that next step towards that next level. And last year when Graham Mertz got hurt, you thought, okay, well, it could be interesting here. Then DJ Lagway comes in, and it's like, oh, this freshman is not just talented, but he's talented and he can lead this team. And I think right there with you, like kind of walking hand in hand with Lenora Sellers from last year, Florida Gators have a lot to be excited about going into this year. We got a chance to hear from Billy Napier about the season overall and what they're working on in fall camp and getting ready for that big opener against Long Island.
Yeah, we don't necessarily see it that way. I think right now, really for the way I would say it to the team is that, this is our first time as a group executing our process from Sunday to Saturday. And a new group of players and obviously some new staff members. So I think we're living in the moment here one day at a time. I think today's a Monday for us, so we're consumed with being as efficient as possible. The more detail, the better. And I would expect us to get better every week regardless of who we play. So I think independent of who we play or where we play, I think we have agreed that it's all about what we do, and we got to control the things that we can control.
All right, so Patrick, opening up the season for Florida, it's Long Island and it's South Florida. And I know South Florida. I think South Florida plays tonight, I believe. Let me go. I'll go back and double check that. I believe they play tonight.
I think you're right.
But either way, I think in a lot of people's eyes, they should be 2-0 to start the season.
100%. And I mean, you have to go 2-0 when you look at the rest of your schedule.
Correct.
You do not have a friendly SEC schedule by any means.
No.
So these out of conference, I guess we could say cupcakes. I feel like that's
right. In South Florida, I mean, I know they're good, they're better. And let me just make sure that's how South Florida plays Boise tonight. So
okay.
So let's just say Boise.
Oh, that's a big game.
That is a big game. That is a big game. So let's say Boise beats them. So South Florida will be 0-1 going into that matchup. Florida should be 1-0 going into that matchup.
Right.
Florida will be the favorite once again into that matchup. So you're 2-0. You're feeling good. But as you said, the gauntlet after that is
it's not
dirty.
Friendly at all.
It is dirty.
And I mean, I know they play LSU.
Yep. Yes. I have the schedule up right here. Yeah.
Okay.
It's at LSU.
Yeah. It's at. I think all of these hard games are away from home.
On the road. Then they step out of conference to go play at Miami. Of course, this is
I have this up now, and that I'm seeing what you're seeing now.
Yes.
That 3-game stretch.
4-game stretch, really, if you count Texas A&M.
Yeah, I mean,
because Texas A&M this year, people are expecting to be really solid, and really, and then like that, the middle from after South Florida on September the 6th, to November the 1st. If you just take where those teams stand right now, that's the number 9 team, the number 10 team, the number 1 team, the number 19 team, and the number 5 team in the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, obviously, things will change, and teams will not be there. And let's just say Miami slips. Miami can lose their first game against Notre Dame and drop out of the polls, and that game doesn't look as good.
What Carson Beck are they going to get?
Right.
I mean, he just had Tommy John over the in the offseason.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows how he's going to go.
It could be different. But we expect most of those teams, especially Texas and especially Georgia and LSU, to all look like the team that we expect them to look like, which is a team competing for national championships and a spot in the college football playoff.
I mean, I think you can easily make the argument that that's the roughest 6-game stretch that anyone's going to go through.
No question. No question.
If you go 3-3, that's a win in Florida's book, I think. Anything above 2-4, you've done your job.
Right.
Because, I mean, the SEC, The SEC has not done you any favors.
No.
With this schedule.
And the schedule last year was obviously really hard as well, and it goes back again this year, and obviously it's a lot of the same opponents. But going back to the original point was just the fact that Florida really has to come out of the gates. I know Auburn plays a Power 4 team. I know Alabama plays a Power 4 team. I know South Carolina is playing a Power 4 team of Virginia Tech. To me, the beginning of the Florida season might be more important than all of those teams because they need to start off 2-0, and they need to get a good taste off in their mouth to start the season just because that gauntlet is so hard. They need to be rolling going into the SEC if they're going to pull off one of these upsets. And like you said, start off the year 2-2, 3-3, maybe even with a winning record there to start the season if they can upset one of those teams.
Yeah, and I think your argument's valid. But in my opinion, I think if you were to rank teams that need to get off to a hot start in the SEC this year, I would put Florida at probably 3.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would put Brian Kelly and LSU at 1 because the pressure cooker is all the way up there.
Right.
They have a team that if you miss the college football playoff with that team that LSU has, there is a major problem.
Yeah.
And the guy that's going to face it is going to be Brian Kelly. I'd put LSU at 1, and then I'd put Alabama at 2.
Okay.
Because that fan base is used to winning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll talk more about Alabama FSU later, but if Alabama loses that game, that fan base could turn on them.
I think there's no chance Bama loses that game. One of my favorite.
I don't think they'll lose, but just in case, like if it does happen,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, if you're thinking it from a case of, you have to win, or the better question is how much does the loss hurt? And I'm right there with you. I think a loss hurts for Alabama. A loss hurts in your opinion, in what you said with LSU a little bit more. I think that there'll be some margin of error because it is Clemson. I think a lot of people expect Clemson to do well, but because Brian Kelly is 0-3 in openers to start the season.
Yeah, and then the talking point is going to be, Brian Kelly can't win the big game.
Correct, yeah. And this comes on the heels of his former team making the national championship game.
And that was the big storyline at Notre Dame, too. Right. Brian Kelly couldn't win the big game.
Right. And it's a good point. It's a good point. From a pressure standpoint, I think Auburn's obviously up there. I think Oklahoma's up there, just from the way that their coaches are perceived in public. But, I didn't think about that aspect of it with LSU just because their opponent is so difficult. But that's a really good point. And I do believe that Brian Kelly, number one, does have to do well. But Florida, in my opinion, is very, very important that they get off to a really, really nice start there.
I honestly think that 8-4 is going to feel a lot better than it sounds. And if they go 8-4, they're the best 8-4 team in the country. Right. I will stand on that. The back half of the schedule is still not great.
No, it's not.
I mean, you go to Ole Miss, you host Tennessee, which – I mean, I know we've talked a lot about Joey Aguilar and Josh Heupel and him getting that Heupel getting that extension through 2030. But it's like, who are you going to get with that game?
Right.
Are you going to get a Tennessee that, is able to go in and just win any game? Or are you going to get a Tennessee that, the wheels kind of have fallen off? But,
right.
I mean, Florida, there's no other way to put it. This is probably the toughest schedule I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I'll look to see where they rank at strength of schedule. I mean, it's got to be obviously top 10.
I mean, the only other one I could see is a team that we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes, Oklahoma. That's a tough schedule too.
Let's do it. We will come back and we'll talk some Oklahoma Sooners because they got a big one coming up in 2 weeks against the Michigan Wolverines. Illinois State is right before that. We will catch up with our buddy Brian Brinkley coming up next. Back here on Southeast Sports Plus, counting down towards game day in college football. Missouri gets underway today, Auburn tomorrow, a host of teams on Saturday. Pleased to be joined by Brian Brinkley of KFOR in Oklahoma City, talking the Oklahoma City Thunder. We can talk them too if you want to. They've been on my brain for a long time. I know they've made your offseason a lot longer than it typically is, but obviously covering there with the Sooners. And number one, how are you here on this? I guess the day before, 2 days before the Oklahoma Sooners start, but on game day here of your other team there that you cover in the Cowboys at Oklahoma State.
Yeah, game night tonight for Oklahoma State, 6:30 against UT Martin. I'm just glad it's time to play football. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm sure that's what everybody is. I know they had some games Saturday. It was nice just to watch some of that Iowa State K-State game in Dublin, but now to have our own teams actually putting on uniforms and playing an opposing team is nice.
Absolutely. As you take a look at how both these teams have gone through their fall camps. Obviously, there's a little bit more noise, I would say, in Norman than in Stillwater, just with the John Mateer stuff, another eye roller, so to speak, as far as just, conversations that happen in the preseason. But as you now digest what every team has gone through over the last close to month or so of practice going into the fall camp, what are some of the main things that you're looking out for as both these teams now roll out with their seasons?
I think for Oklahoma, I think there's a lot of optimism about what Mateer can do. He seems to really get along with everybody. Every player that I've talked to or heard sound from has raved about John here in preseason camp. I think I always hate to pin it on one guy, but if you're going to pin the success of a team on one guy, it's always the quarterback. How he does is going to go a long way to how good this Oklahoma team is. And if he's effective as a quarterback, Oklahoma has a chance to be a pretty good football team this year.
Absolutely. And we got a chance to hear from head coach Brent Venables, and here he is on his new quarterback in John Mateer.
No, I don't. It was hard to – there's several other first-time players that you feel like maybe you don't know a little bit more about them and how they'll respond. I haven't thought about it other than I'm very confident in who he is, and maybe that – it's because I studied a lot of game tape of Washington State, lots, 2 years worth, and certainly he was on there a lot. So I felt like I knew him before he got here, what he's about, his makeup, his instincts, his skill, his capacity, and if anything, since he's been here, he's just such a likable guy. And when it comes to a football piece, you love having guys that you can count on, that they're not going to flinch. You're going to show up with the right mindset every day. He's going to lay it on the line, cares about his teammates, cares about his coaches. He cares about his opportunity. And he's just got all the right guts and the toughness and the instincts. When he's had a few moments here and since he's been here, and even watching him at Washington State when he's had some moments where he's had some adversity, he's always responded. And so I wouldn't expect anything different.
Got a chance to hear from Holden Kruzmark yesterday, and we talked a little bit about Ben Arbuckle and the fact that there are so many new wrinkles to this offense, but Arbuckle does sound like he is the very positive, enthusiastic, very energetic kind of guy. As you see the way this offense plays out, do you see it being more like what they were trying to implement there at Washington State, or a little bit more what you see from a typical SEC teams where it's a little more pro style, a little bit more focused there on the run? How do you expect to see this team play out and execute their game plan week to week?
That's a good question. I know Jaden Ott, the Cal transfer at running back in a few weeks, I guess before camp started, talked about how attracted he was to Arbuckle's offense, and he went against him when he was at Cal. When Arbuckle was at Washington State, so it attracted a pretty good running back to transfer to OU. So I think it could be a pretty good balance there. And OU's, if they stay healthy, they've got a pretty good crew of running backs. And Ott is starting the season on the depth chart third string. We'll see if that actually plays out like that. But And then Mateer's got running ability himself. So I think we're going to see a pretty good mix of that is my guess, but we'll see how it goes. And we really won't probably know in the first game because it's Illinois State. But by the second game, OU's going to have to really start implementing what they want to be successful at with Michigan coming to town.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't want to look past Illinois State by any means and look at that Michigan game. But what do you think the fans want to see from John Mateer to, kind of ease the nerves, so to speak, about, I mean, obviously Jackson Arnold last year was not the guy for Oklahoma. What do you think the fans need to see from Mateer to kind of settle those nerves?
I think they just want to see a confident quarterback who can complete passes. I mean, as basic as that sounds, because that was an issue last year. And I don't want to blame it all, obviously, on Jackson Arnold because OU's wide receiving core just got devastated by injuries. But this year, again, they look to be pretty deep at wide receiver. So if the passing game is looking, effective and productive, I think OU fans are going to get pretty excited about going in from week 1 to week 2 against Michigan.
Absolutely. Brent Venables made his mark on defense and coached championship level defenses there at Clemson, got to Oklahoma. It's been a little up and down, but it's one of those kind of steady things. Last year held Alabama to 3 points. What do you make of this defense in year 2 in the SEC and just the ways that they need to improve to be able to stay kind of in the top parts of the SEC?
I think it might even be better this year, and that's with losing Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman to the NFL. The defensive line continues to get better, and this might be their deepest defense they've had as far as just the numbers at all 3 levels on the defensive side of the ball. There's not a lot of, at least going into the season, there's no big standouts that you'd put as a preseason All-American or anything, but there's depth there. And Venables runs a kind of a complicated defense, and these guys are starting to figure it out, and they're obviously passing it down to the younger guys. So I think this has a potential to be a really good defense. And if you're a really good defense in the SEC, and you give yourself a chance.
Absolutely. When you break down what's ahead for this football team and that big Michigan game, we talked on your last appearance here about just all the storylines, the off-field storylines as Coach Moore is coming back into town. How do you feel like this team will treat this Illinois State game as far as what they show? Do you expect it to be way more vanilla? Do you expect them to air it out and let Mateer get loose and really feel confident in himself? How do you expect them to be against a team which they are such a heavy favorite, but not trying to show too much before that Michigan game?
Well, not knowing what Arbuckle's approach is, because I haven't seen him run an offense at OU, I would expect it to be pretty vanilla. Yeah. Historically, unless they play someone big in the non-conference, which Michigan would qualify, OU seems to stay pretty close to the vest with what they do until the Texas game. And then they usually break out and expand a little bit their offensive repertoire, so to speak. I think they'll stay pretty vanilla against Illinois State. And then we'll see how it works. I mean, if it works pretty well, then the confidence starts to build. Like I said, the fans will get into it. And boy, it'll be fun when Michigan comes to town in a couple weeks.
Flip gears over to Oklahoma State. You talked about them. It's game day for them, and a lot of other teams that are playing here on this Thursday. It's a really unique situation for teams like Oklahoma State because a lot of TV executives love to put them on television in those big nationally televised games. I guess all games are nationally televised these days. But in those primetime spots where they are one of just a handful of games, as you look ahead to Oklahoma State's game today and their season, what stands out to you about Coach Gundy's crew?
Well, this is going to be interesting. I mean, he'll tell you himself and has told us for the last month, he doesn't really know what to expect because he's never had so many newcomers on a team. He said at his news conference last Thursday, he expects 27 guys to play tonight that have never played for Oklahoma State before.
That's unbelievable.
Now, some of those guys are seniors, like they got a couple of their starting wide receivers, at least on the depth chart, are fourth-year transfers. So they've played a lot of football. They just haven't played it for Oklahoma State. So it's a big question mark, like how good are these guys going to be? Are they ready to compete in the Big 12 or, is it going to be overwhelming for them? Now, tonight I don't think should be a problem against Tennessee Martin. And the other thing is at quarterback, neither of the quarterback contenders, and it looks like it's going to be Haas Haney that starts, have thrown a pass for Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
And I know Gundy doesn't like that because he historically does not like playing younger guys. He was obviously a quarterback himself. He likes them to be in the system at OSU for a while. He doesn't have that luxury this year. He's just got to get best guy out there and see what happens. So it's going to be interesting to watch. And then the defensive side of the ball is where OSU really had problems last year. So that's where they've got to be a lot better than they were a year ago. And again, a bunch of newcomers. The only area of both sides of the football where they have anything resembling experience coming back is the secondary.
Yeah, I mean, I have the schedule up right here. The out of conference obviously highlighted going to Oregon on September 6th. But, I mean, you look at the Big 12 schedule and you look at last year, they didn't win a game in the Big 12. You host Kansas State and Iowa State. You only have to go on the road against Texas Tech, the only road Big 12 game that a team in the preseason has been ranked. I mean, what do you make out of the schedule?
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's kind of this is kind of way it is in college football now. And the Big 12, which this bothers me, but the Big 12 did not do a preseason poll.
Yeah.
So we don't know where anyone is slated to finish. So it's a little hard to tell what you think is going to happen. But you're right. The schedule is potentially favorable. I still can't believe they went 0-9 in the conference last year. I noticed a Sports Illustrated writer, I think it's Sports Illustrated, picked them to finish 0-9 this year again.
Wow.
And 2-10 overall. They're only wins in non-conference. So I don't think that's going to happen. But it's hard to tell what's going to happen. And every team is so new now. Who knows,
Mm-hmm.
But there's some potential there. They could, if they can get some confidence. Now, I don't expect them to beat Oregon on the road in the second week of the season, but they could build up some confidence early, and who knows? I mean, that's how Bill Snyder used to do it at K-State in the early days.
Yeah.
They would play a bunch of seemingly cupcakes, but they got wins, which that program at that time had not had a lot of wins.
Right.
They started building confidence. Next thing you knew, they were contending for Big 12 titles.
Such a good point. There's different ways to build, and I think just stacking wins, just from a mental standpoint, a confidence standpoint, can go a really long way for the football team. To see if they can start off with a win today. I'm with you. I think today is an easy win as they look forward and look ahead to the future there. As it relates to the rest of the Big 12, I know you talked about how they did not have a preseason poll, and the commissioner came out and he made mention. And I think it's because of what happened with Arizona State last year, and just because I think a lot of people did not think of them as a quote unquote worthy champion or worthy of the college football playoff. But we saw how it all played out. What do you make of the Big 12 decision to not do it? Because I got it intellectually, but from a football fan perspective, I'm so used to seeing these prediction polls. And if a team looks the part, well, then they are slid up in the polls. And so to me, it's like Arizona State was not hampered by not being ranked in the preseason. They just didn't look the part. They just happened to be the team that ended up winning that conference.
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, just have a preseason poll. It
I
doesn't
know,
mean
I
that's
know.
where you're going to finish.
Yeah,
and if you get picked 16th, then that's your motivation to finish higher.
Yeah.
I can't remember. This might have been women's basketball. I can't remember. I think it was the Big Ten. They only had they only showed like the top 5 in the poll, and you don't know who the ones below. It's like, come on. And they did that in women's basketball in the Big 12 a few years ago. They didn't have a poll at all because the coaches, I guess, didn't want to do it. So I can't stand not having a poll. You need to have a poll.
Right.
And that gives us something to talk about, if nothing else. But yeah, it's hard to tell now. If they did have a poll, where would OSU be? Probably in the bottom half, but it's hard to say. And again, they have so many newcomers. Who knows? These guys may come in and start lighting up. At running back, Gundy does not have a starter list. He's got 5 guys that could possibly be the starter. It's a bunch of or.
Right.
So they're look to be deep, but obviously he'd like to have a go-to guy there, but it may be by committee here, at least early in the season.
Brian, while we have you on here, some big news for Oklahoma State in the MLB last night. Nolan McLean with, man, I tell you, I'm a Mets fan at heart, and what this guy has done for this team when they have needed a guy to step up out of the starting rotation. I mean, it certainly is magical, but I understand he used to be a two-way guy at Oklahoma State.
Yeah. I was just looking this stuff up before I got on with you. He has already won more major league games now than he won in 3 years at Oklahoma State.
Wow.
That is a crazy stat.
That is insane.
And I've not seen any stats. I should have looked this up a little bit more, a little better before I came on. But I saw after his first 2 starts, the combination of the hits and the runs and strikeouts is the first pitcher since 1913 in the major leagues to do what he did in his first 2 major league starts.
I mean,
so I'm guessing he's still in that kind of neighborhood with now the 3-0 start.
Yeah,
right.
I looked it up.
Go ahead.
Yeah, he made 39 appearances for Oklahoma State in 3 years on the mound. He only started 3 games.
Wow.
36 of the 39 he came out of the bullpen, and all 3 of those were his last year in 2023, and he only won 1 of those.
Jeez.
So and he I think it was 34 strikeouts in 30 innings, so he had a pretty good strikeout ratio there. But yeah, he was a two-way guy and a heck of a hitter, and really obviously he didn't start at all as a pitcher till his last year at OSU. But to do it this early in his pro career is pretty impressive.
I mean, you look at that Mets team and I don't know what you want to call it, the rut that they've been in since mid-June with starting pitching and stuff like that. And to see a guy who I did also hear this on the broadcast, like I believe it was last night. He only had 2 pitches coming out of college, and now he's got like 6. So, I mean, this dude is able to pick up things at such a fast pace.
Yeah.
And when he throws, when he's out on the mound, I'm telling you, it looks like he's playing wiffle ball. Because, I mean, I saw those pitches last night, and they had some crazy movement to them.
Yeah, I haven't been able to watch a live game yet, but we obviously are putting highlights on every night he pitches. And, man, he's got some nasty stuff, and he gets fired up out there. I'm sure the OSU coaches are like, maybe we should have started pitching him sooner.
I know.
But, again, when you're a two-way guy and you can hit like he hit, you got to hit him. He's got to be in the lineup.
Right.
That's kind of just the way it is in college. But the Mets clearly have got a good pick there, and it's a little bit similar. Well, I shouldn't say similar because this is a different thing. But we got the same thing going here with the Cubs and Cade Horton, who is now in the contention for National League Rookie of the Year with the way he's been pitching lately.
Absolutely.
But obviously he was a very high pick and was pitcher only at OU. So.
Right. And it kind of leads me to a bigger point here about just how much baseball and softball are loved there in that area. And obviously the Women's College World Series is hosted there. Oklahoma's been unbelievable, probably one of the best dynasties going. I know they lost this past year, but just speak to a football culture, but correct me if I'm wrong. I consider Oklahoma a football culture, but they're so well-rounded in other sports because basketball obviously has had nice runs there with the Sooners and others, and then baseball as well, whether it's individuals or teams.
Yeah, it's pretty. I actually this summer went to both the baseball and basketball halls of fame for the first time, and it is amazing how many baseball Hall of Famers there are from Oklahoma, which is such a small state population-wise.
Right.
And then going through the basketball Hall of Fame, I was thinking, oh, wow, I didn't know such and such was in the basketball Hall of Fame. Bertha Teague, who was a high school girls basketball coach in Oklahoma for like 50 years, is in the basketball Hall of Fame, not the women's basketball.
Wow.
She is in that, too. Wow. But she's in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame.
Wow. Yeah.
And she never coached above high school.
Jeez.
But she won a ton of titles, and, So, yeah, it's become and softball has been fun because we first got the World Series in 1990. And recently I looked up like that first title game and some video, and there's like 1,000 people out there to watch the championship game. And it has just built and built and built. And then when Patty Gasso got to Oklahoma in 95, they just slowly got better. And then the first trip to Oklahoma City for the World Series, they win it all, and it's become, and then Oklahoma State now for the last decade or so has been really good, and they'd been to several World Series before Oklahoma really started to get good, and this state and city has just really embraced the Women's College World Series. It's been fun to see it. I hope we never lose it, and they've continued to add on to the stadium, and I think it's guaranteed into the late 2030s or something, so it's been fun to watch, and there are a lot of, I sometimes look at other states, similar states like, say, west of the Mississippi that don't have a big population, think we're lucky we have so many so many outstanding athletes, not just currently, but through the history, through the years that we've been able to enjoy here and can call themselves part of Oklahoma.
That is spot on, and I'm right there with you. I hope that it never leaves Oklahoma City. Just the drone shots and just the way that city has embraced it, and you spoke to it, the growth over time. It's really appreciated, really well respected, and then you tack that on with what the Thunder are doing and what Oklahoma probably can do this year with a good season from Brent Venables. You got a lot to root for, a lot to cheer for, and a lot to cover, but it's good work as well. Brian Brinkley, thank you so much.
If you've never been to the World Series, just 1 year, set it aside and come. It's just a blast.
Absolutely.
And because softball is a little bit shorter than baseball, you can get more games in a day, and it's just a blast.
And if I'm not mistaken, they're hosting the Olympic softball there, right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
They're hosting the LA Olympics.
Nice.
Is going to have softball in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
So that's and Patty Gasso's Team USA head coach. And I would imagine there's probably going to be a couple of former Sooners at least on that team. So
no question.
They were definitely on the team here that played in the World Games a couple weeks ago in China. So
absolutely, no question. So much.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, so much to be excited about as they move forward there. Brian, thank you so much for your time. Tell Holden thank you for his time yesterday. You guys do an amazing job. Lots to cover, lots to do. I know you're very, very busy over there, but thank you for taking the time out here on Southeast Sports Plus.
Appreciate it. Enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Brian Brinkley with our friends at KFOR doing a phenomenal job, and they're so well versed. I mean, it wasn't until you brought up the great pitching that's that is being executed right now in New York. The fact that he started at Oklahoma State, and then Brian's incredible stat that he's actually won more games as a Met than he has as a Cowboy.
I mean, Brian also talked about all of the baseball players that come from Oklahoma, and like just thinking of it, you look at Oklahoma State. Carson Benj is also in the Met system.
That's
He's
right.
projected to be really good.
Yep.
And then you look at Jackson and Ethan Holiday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Matt Holiday's sons coming from Stillwater. I mean,
nice.
Oklahoma's starting to turn into like a baseball playground.
A little baseball powerhouse over there. Baseball already had softball. The champions of basketball. We'll see what the college football teams can do, starting with Oklahoma State tonight and Oklahoma on Saturday. Coming up on Southeast Sports Plus, we have a whole lot more, and we'll talk a little Alabama football coming up next. Stay with us. Quickly closing up shop here on Southeast Sports Plus. Ty Simpson named the starting quarterback during fall camp from head coach Kalen DeBoer and offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb. And former Alabama head coach Nick Saban had a little words of wisdom, Patrick, for one Ty Simpson, who was about to make his college football debut as the starting quarterback, QB1 for Alabama.
Yeah, you know, this is the time of year where these guys, these new quarterbacks, are getting all the advice they can get. Yesterday, I know I talked about, you know, you don't want to get too much advice, but here's Nick Saban to Ty Simpson. You definitely want to hear what Nick Saban says when he tells you something. Just play within yourself. Make sure that you keep your team out of negative plays and negative drives. He always said that if you end a drive with a punt, a kick, PAT, field goal, or a punt, then you know you're in good shape and not dead in the water. And I mean, truer words have not been spoken. As long as you don't turn the ball over, even if you just punt it away, you at least change the field position. You don't give them great field position.
Yeah, the old adage, you end every possession with a kick.
Yes.
And you're in good shape as they move forward. And we saw that a little bit with Jalen Milroe last year. A lot of the negative stuff was the fact that the ball was being turned over. Saw in the Michigan game late in the season a lot of the fumbles. You could take a lot of the lessons learned from the good plays, like the 4th and 31 and the things he did well, and the bad plays like you saw in the bowl game, and kind of, you know, eradicate the bad plays, go all the way to those good plays. And I think Ty Simpson's in for a nice little treat. I mean, this is my boldest prediction of the weekend. I literally think Alabama's going to win this game by 4 touchdowns. I really do.
Wow.
I think the minus 13.5 is free money. It is money on the ground. If you like money, you like to pick it up. In my opinion, well, it's not betting advice. In my opinion, this is the easiest money to have.
Garrett just spoiled his best bets for tomorrow, because I'm sure we're going to talk more Alabama FSU, and we're going to do some best bets.
Oh,
so
we'll do some best bets.
You could definitely chalk up him taking a alternate spread for Alabama in that game.
It'll be prop heavy.
So do you think Norvell gets fired after then?
No, I don't think he gets fired. But I do think it'll be interesting with Florida State going into it, and they have an offensive coordinator in Gus Malzahn, who could step up as the head coach if they need to. I think it's a break glass in case of emergency situation, but I don't think he's going anywhere. We'll stay with the Crimson Tide and hear from our friend Ariel Schaefer, who had a nice little look inside the Crimson Tide just ahead of their matchup this weekend.
This weekend marks the first time since September of 2000 that Alabama will open up a new campaign in a true non-conference road environment, as well as mark the first time ever that Alabama will be making the trip to Tallahassee. When you have to break in a new quarterback and make adjustments with the offensive line, head coach Kalen DeBoer and offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb both mentioning that they're going to have to rely on more experienced guys when making adjustments in game, and look to lean on guys like center Parker Brailsford.
It's everything, honestly. I think he brings calm to not only the offensive line unit, but just the guys that are looking to have more playing time potentially than they had in the past, including Ty. And just for the coaching staff, just understand there's a guy that's going to be able to calm the waters is really, really valuable.
As for the environment set to be expected at Doak Campbell Stadium, the Tide has been practicing with blaring crowd noise in order to help them prepare.
You know, starting fast and giving yourself, not that you don't have the belief, but like another level of like momentum, and so as much as anything, taking it away from them, especially in an environment that we know is going to be a good one.
As expected, running back Jam Miller will miss due to that dislocated collarbone. However, is hopeful to make his return come the Georgia game. Meanwhile, offensive lineman Jaden Roberts' status is still in question due to him still being in concussion protocol. From Tuscaloosa, I'm Ariel Schaefer. We'll send it back to you.
Great stuff there, Ariel. Alabama, Florida State kickoff 2:30 Saturday there in Tallahassee. Coming up next on Southeast Sports Plus, we talk one of the legends of college football saying so long to the football game. That's next. Closing up shop here on Southeast Sports Plus, college football in action tonight as Missouri takes the field along with a few other teams. Some notable games there on the college football slate. The Auburn Tigers will get underway coming up tomorrow. Then a big slate of games on Saturday. Patrick, this is a really, really fun time to be a college football fan.
Yeah, we've been talking about it all week on how week 1 is the best time of the year for college football. You've got games today. You've got it rolling all the way through Monday. But, you know, one of the faces of college football is finally, you know, taking his final he's doing his final show Saturday.
Yep.
Lee Corso, you know, he's been a guy, obviously he started College Game Day before I was born, but, you know, growing up, College Game Day was just synonymous with him.
Yeah, I mean, college football, I don't think you can write the book on college football throughout its history and not include College Game Day and that show and just what that show means to college football fans. And there have been some replicas and even some good ones in the pregame space, but there is nothing like College Game Day. And we saw Nick Saban start there last year, and Lee Corso will make his final appearance this week. And I think it's poetic in a lot of ways. It's probably the biggest regular season game, season opener probably ever. And it's going back to Ohio State, and Ohio State's synonymous with Lee Corso for a few different reasons. Cole's Game Day blog crunched down some of the numbers of Lee Corso and his famous headgear to end off the show.
Yes.
Some of these numbers are absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, a 286 and 144 record, that's not bad.
Not bad at all, yeah.
He went 11-0. His best year was in 1999. He went 11-0 in picks. Worst season was just a few seasons later, 4-9. He picked Ohio State 45 times, and as you mentioned, just it feels fitting that they're going up to Columbus to end it. But another thing that I noticed from this when they compiled all these numbers, he went 17-0 when picking USC, and that's insane. That's a California USC, not University of South Carolina.
Right.
I mean, that's just insane.
That's
17-0 record.
That is nuts. I mean, just for the fact that if you just put a wager on USC when Corso, I guess it was the sword and the vest. Whenever he put the sword and the vest on, it was a guaranteed win. And obviously, like there was a time when USC was just absolutely rolling under Pete Carroll. The College Game Day was there a lot and got a chance to make a lot of those picks. But just a staple of college football to me, and a guy that cannot be replaced. And I know that they've done amazing tributes leading up to this big announcement, which I think that if you were to go out in any occupation, this is the way you want to go out. Celebrate it just like him, and kind of the flowers while you're still around to be able to celebrate them.
Yeah, and I really liked the tribute that I believe ESPN put together for him. They brought him to the College Football Hall of Fame, and they had him sit down, and you know, all these fans, analysts, former players, and ending it with Kirk Herbstreit in tears. I mean, it was truly a special tribute. If you haven't watched it, you got to go watch it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it really is, and it'll make you remember why you love college football. It'll make you remember why it's so separate. I love football as a sport, but college football, it's special, and it's because of people like Lee Corso, and something that starts so organically, like putting on a mascot head for the last 30 seconds of a show, and how much those indelible moments live with all of us forever. And of course, we'll be watching Lee Corso coming up on Saturday. We have our final Southeast Sports Plus coming up tomorrow. We'll see you here from 2 to 4.